Total Screen proudly presents their official podcast, On Screen, with your hosts, Tyson Gifford and William Rohrig. Hello, everybody, and welcome to On Screen, the official podcast of the Total Screen. My name is Tyson.
My name is Will.
And today we are going to be talking about Castlevania Nocturne. In full spoilers, we are also going to be discussing what's coming up on the horizon, talk about a few trailers that are coming out, including the new trailer for the last wave of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe for their DLC. So we'll be talking about all of that in this episode. Let's get started with our On the Horizon segment. On the Horizon is where we talk about stuff that's coming up in the next couple of weeks, or next week or so. We're going to start things off Saturday, November 4th. Planet Earth 3 is coming to BBC America. Now, I don't know about you, but for me, the very first Planet Earth, that was like the essential viewing to test out your new HDTV. When I think of Planet Earth, that's what I think of. Like, that's how you saw how amazing HD looked.
Oh yeah, because like I remember that coming out on Blu-ray and like being recommended as like one of the top Blu-rays to buy.
Yeah.
For that reason.
Yeah, specifically for that reason. Then Planet Earth 2 there wasn't like a big change from it, but now Planet Earth 3 is in 4K. So that's gonna be impressive, I guess.
Gonna be,
kind of footage.
Oh yeah. That's gonna be like the benchmark for your 4K TVs now.
Yeah, Planet Earth 3. That's coming on Sunday, November 4th to BBC America. Then on, or Saturday, November 4th, I should say, sorry. And then on Sunday, November 5th, Lawman, Reeves is coming to Paramount Plus. This is about the real-life former slave and the first black U.S. Marshal. So it's kind of like a Western about this former slave who becomes the first black U.S. Marshal.
Yeah, that's cool.
True story. And that's coming on Paramount Plus. Then, For All Mankind kicks off its fourth season on Apple TV Plus on Friday, November 10th. And then, also on Friday, November 10th, The Killer comes to Netflix. This is the new David Fincher movie starring Michael Fassbender.
Yes.
And it looks fantastic, as all Fincher movies do.
Absolutely.
And then lastly, also on Friday, November 10th, The Marvels comes out in theaters. And it looks okay.
Yeah, it looks fine.
Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah.
I'll watch it for sure, but yeah, it looks okay. And that's it for our On the Horizon segment. Now we're going to move on to On Beat. On Beat. We have some trailers to go over this week. We're going to start things off with Manodrome, or the toxic masculinity Jesse Swolenberg movie.
Yeah, Jesse Eisenberg gets swole for this part. He plays apparently a troubled man who gets recruited by Adrian Brody into this weird toxic masculinity cult.
Yeah.
Which radicalizes him and turns him into, like, I'm supposing, like, a violent monster.
Yeah. Looks it makes me think a little bit about, like, an Andrew Tate kind of story.
Yes.
But definitely. Yeah. It's just interesting seeing Eisenberg not be, like, totally skinny.
Right. I think it's, like, I think it's Jesse Eisenberg, like, he's trying to, like, stretch his wings, and he's clearly taking on, you know, a role that's, like, atypical from the roles he usually cast in.
This is like the kind of role you'd expect to see, like, say, Tom Hardy in or something, you know?
Right, yeah, exactly. Exactly. So this is an interesting choice for Jesse Eisenberg, but props to him, you know, he's trying to do something different and going against the grain of, you know, what his image is.
Can we talk about Adrian Brody for a second? That guy just kind of disappeared for the most part.
Yeah, he did.
Every so often he shows up and he's always fantastic. He was in, that series on Peacock that was done by Ryan Johnson. the detective show. I can't think of the name of it.
Poker Face?
Poker Face, that's it. He's in Poker Face, and he was fantastic in that. For like a brief part. He was in like,
really?
like 1 or 2 episodes or something. But yeah. But he just kind of like has disappeared, and every so often he pops up. He popped up in Peaky Blinders, remember?
Oh yeah, he did.
And he's always fantastic, but we don't really see him that much anymore.
Yeah, I don't see a lot of Adrian Brody.
Yeah. He was like really huge for like about 5 years.
And he's resurfaced again now.
Yeah. Our next trailer, I didn't know what to make of this, and then it took this turn at the end, and it was just, the whole trailer was fantastic. It's Boy Swallows Universe. It has like a very like maybe 70s, 80s kind of period piece.
Oh, it's the 70s. Like the boy was playing Atari, like, you know, it's definitely the 70s.
Yeah, I think it's 70s, but I'm like, it could be 80s and just like they're poor,
could be early
older
80s
stuff, you know?
Yeah. When did they ever do that?
Then it starts taking this darker turn, and it's like, God, it's a fantastic trailer.
Yes, yeah. It starts out, it looks like a slice of life film about this boy living in, like, I guess, like the late 70s, maybe early 80s. And yeah, and then like it takes a turn.
All sorts of dark stuff starts happening, and it's like, oh, what's going on? And it's the trailer doesn't give a lot away. It's a lot of like context clues. It's a lot of like, oh, here's some blood. Oh, here's a guy with a gun. Oh, you know, it's all these like things that are like kind of that ring alarm bells, you know. And you see them, and you're like, whoa, what's going on? What's going on? But like, it doesn't really show you anything about what's going on. You just kind of see a lot of like red flags, I guess. But I think it looks great. It's a great, well put together trailer, and we'll have to see what that actually is when it comes out. And then we got trailers for some Christmas movies.
It's that time of the year again. It's a time when the streamers put out new Christmas films. And
one
spoilers,
thing I can give this,
they suck.
One thing I can give this is they both look better than anything that has ever been made for the Hallmark Channel.
True. Okay.
And that is a very short bar.
Yes. That is a very small bar to cross.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, family Christmas movies with little supernatural flares and not really anything
to talk about.
I don't think these are the kind of movies we're going to be referencing back to in, say, 10 years, you know?
Right, yeah. These won't be the classics. Say, like, oh yeah, I'm watching the fucking, what is it? The Family Switch. Like, for Christmas for the 100th year in a row. Like, this is my favorite Christmas movie. No.
This ain't Christmas
Story.
Nobody's
going to say that.
This ain't Christmas Story. This ain't Miracle on 34th Street. This ain't It's a Wonderful Life. And this sure as hell ain't Die Hard.
Right, yeah. Yeah, let's get in the movie before, like, I go on my rant. Because the rant won't make sense if we don't talk about the movies first.
So, Family Switch is basically Freaky Friday, but more.
It's double the Freaky Friday. It's Freakier Friday with a Christmas twist.
It's Freaky Saturday.
Yeah. because like instead of like the daughter switching bodies with the mom, now we got the that does happen. But now the son also switches bodies with the dad, and like the baby switches bodies with the dog because like I guess there was nobody else to switch bodies with. So the baby gets the short end of the stick there. But I mean, you're just a baby. You don't care, right?
Yeah.
You're happy being a dog.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
You'll eat the dog food and be happy.
It's got Ed Helms. I like Ed Helms. It's got Jennifer Garner, who already did like 13 going on 30. So like, it's already like similar thing because, you know, going on there. But
Jennifer Garner being in a project is not filming with confidence.
No, it looks like very much like low effort. Like everybody's just cashing a check. You know, it looks like one of those deals. Nothing in the trailer was like legitimately funny. It's just, it's all the tropes of these types of movies just repeated again unashamedly. Like nobody's ever seen one of these movies before. It's just like all the same tropes that we've seen in these films. Repeated again for this film, except, now it's like double the body switch. Who cares?
And then the other Christmas movie we got a trailer for is The Genie, where Melissa McCarthy is a genie.
That's it. That's it. Yeah, this man summons Melissa McCarthy, and I guess like he does wishes, but Also, I guess he adopts her as his new BFF, and he has to teach her about the human world or some crap. And she's super obnoxious, and nothing's funny about this at all.
But she gets to try pizza, and I always like to watch people try pizza for the first time.
Oh, really? Okay.
That's about
it. Yeah, I was like, what? How is this a movie?
It's a made-for-streaming movie, you know?
Yeah.
It's that bar from 2010 made-for-streaming movie.
Right? Yeah. It's like somebody just wrote on a note, Melissa McCarthy, Genie, and that was the movie. That was the script for the movie. They didn't even write anything else. They said Melissa McCarthy, Genie, and then they ad-libbed the entire movie.
Yeah, they found a pizza box on set, and they said, oh, she's probably never had pizza before.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it looks like.
And then the last trailer we got has nothing to do with those Christmas movies. It's a game trailer. It's a DLC game trailer. It is the trailer for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Pass Wave 6, the final new edition of tracks coming to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I'm going to read through the tracks we get first, and then we'll discuss it after that. But there are 2 cups, the Acorn Cup and the Spiny Cup. The Acorn Cup includes Rome Avanti from Mario Kart Tour, DK Mountain from Mario Kart Double Dash, Daisy Circuit from Mario Kart Wii, Piranha Plant Cove from Mario Kart Tour. The Spiny Cup has Madrid Drive from Mario Kart Tour, Rosalina's Ice World from Mario Kart 7, Bowser Castle 3 from Super Mario Kart, and Rainbow Road from Mario Kart Wii. Those are the tracks. Any favorites there for you?
I mean, I do love the winter one from Mario Kart 3DS. I do love that. What I wanted to point out was, now with this DLC, that means every track from Mario Kart Tour, or almost every track from Mario Kart Tour, has now been ported to Mario Kart 8, except for Piranha Plant Pipeline, which is, I guess, going to remain exclusive to Mario Kart Tour, unless it appears in a future Mario Kart game.
So there's there's a Piranha Plant Cove and a Piranha Plant Pipeline?
Yes. Yeah, those are 2 separate tracks.
Maybe they merged them or something for this one. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. It's weird. It's the kind of thing that's now going to bug me, because it's kind of oh man, you had one more to go and you couldn't make it happen. But no, it's fine. It's fine.
I have big gaps in my Mario Kart history. I play a ton of Mario Kart 8, but I have big gaps. Certain games I just didn't really play at all. So Mario Kart Wii, I never played Mario Kart Wii.
Yeah, I never played Wii.
I mean, Daisy Circuit and Rainbow Road are new tracks for me. Rainbow Road, this one looks fantastic. It looks similar to the 3DS Rainbow Road, which we got also in, I think, the last wave, I believe. And yeah, some of the Piranha Plant Cove one looks pretty good for a relatively new track for a tour track, which usually those aren't all that inspiring, but it looks pretty good. And I know pretty much everybody loves all of the courses from Double Dash. I don't really remember many of them. It's been so long since I played it.
Even though I played the game, a lot of it is kind of
that was one I did play, but I didn't own. So it was I only played it at other people's homes. Yeah.
I didn't own it. I rented it from the video store. I only played it when I rented it.
Yeah. So it's I just don't really have a lot of memories of it, but I know every time there's a Double Dash course, people freak out and get all excited. So. But yeah, it's a solid track selection. The tracks look good. From the trailer, the tracks look they're pretty much all bangers, it looks to me.
Yeah, Rosalina's Ice World looks fantastic. Bowser's Castle 3, obviously that's a classic Super Mario Kart track. It's fun to see the SNES tracks remade in 3D, with the modern design sensibilities. Never played Mario Kart or Wii, but Rainbow Road looks fantastic.
Yeah, I love pretty much all the Rainbow Roads. They're sometimes annoying when you first play them, but once you get the hang of them and the layouts and stuff, they become really entertaining tracks, all the Rainbow Roads. So.
Oh yeah.
Every time they add a new Rainbow Road, it's cool.
I gotta say, I'm happy with the inclusion of Diddy Kong and Pauline. Funky and Peachette are kind of whatever to me, but Peachette just seems so unnecessary.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of weird how with Mario Kart 8, with the DLC from the Wii U version of the game that was all included in Deluxe when it launched, you had the Zelda track and stuff, and they added Link as a racer, but they didn't really expand out beyond that. It's almost kind of surprising.
No, they did.
We get
Link
Peachette, but we don't get Kirby Kirby or something, you know?
Right, yeah, they did Link and they did the Animal Crossing. Isabelle, yes.
Yeah, and the Splatoon. They added the Splatoon racers too.
Yeah.
The Inklings. But yeah, like they didn't, like,
They did
it's kind of
expand
surprising
beyond...
they didn't put in like Kirby or something, you know, that kind of surprises me.
It's not surprising to me because, like, I think, like, people thought with that DLC that, like, oh yeah, this is the direction Nintendo's going and they're gonna make this, the next
Smash
one's gonna be
Kart.
like, yeah, it's gonna be Nintendo Kart. And I don't think Nintendo's moving in that direction. I think that was like a one-time thing. I think Nintendo's like interested in just like filling the game with like various like other franchise characters.
Yeah, but it's kind of interesting certain ones getting picked that besides
it's interesting that
it's
they
interesting
did
that they did the Inklings and not Kirby, for example. Like Kirby seems like it fit much better than the Inklings.
I think mostly the Inklings were picked because they had Splatoon. Yeah, they want to promote Splatoon. They want people playing Mario Kart be like, oh, hey, check out this new game that we just launched. And again, like Animal Crossing, I mean, I guess they had the game on the 3DS. And Zelda was like Zelda, like, obviously, like, that's gonna, like, be top priority. And they also added some F-Zero content, though, which is truly baffling, cause, like, they added the Mute City and the Big Blue tracks, and, like, the F-Zero, like...
They fit really well, though, because the hover car dynamic that was added in 8 really fits, like, an F-Zero track. So, like, it ended up making it really cool. I remember playing Mario Kart 8 when they added the F-Zero tracks on the Wii U, like, way back before Deluxe. I remember saying, like, maybe this is a way that they could do F-Zero, is they could do it like a DLC pack for Mario Kart, where it's like a separate game within the game that you can launch, you know, like some games do that. Like, if you play, like, Xenoblade Chronicles 2 or Xenoblade Chronicles 3, both of those have, like, DLC games that were added later, like, separate games that are in that same world or whatever, but you go into the main menu and it's not like you jump into your regular game and you find that content. It's like, it's a separate game you start from the menu. And I was like, maybe that is a way that they could do F-Zero, because they already have, like, the engine for Mario Kart 8 runs at 60 FPS. It's pretty fast. They added, like, the 200cc mode that's getting it really close to the F-Zero speeds at that point. You got, the hover mode, so you already kind of have the physics in place for, like, the way the cars could work. So I'm like, maybe that's a way they could do it. They could just make a DLC within Mario Kart 8 that's like a separate game that's there, you know, and just use the engine.
Yeah. That would have been interesting. Obviously, they didn't do that. They brought F-Zero back as a 99, as a 99, like, battle royale, like, online game.
Hopefully we get more than just that.
Yeah, hopefully we do. But yeah, it was interesting. I did enjoy that fan service with that DLC. I did enjoy, like, having those tracks in Mario Kart complete with, like, their signature, you know, musical, their musical tracks.
Mm-hmm.
Hearing, like, the Mute City and Big Blue themes of Mario Kart was, like, crazy. And also, like, just, oh yeah, I'm racing on Big Blue as Link.
So the other details about this DLC wave is that they added 16 new Mii costumes. So
yes,
I don't know exactly how that works with the new ones, but the old ones that you just basically would scan in an amiibo of certain characters.
If you're one of the heathens that like enjoys like racing as your Mii,
I do. I always race as my Mii. Straight serious, like not even kidding. I always use my Mii, but that's because my Mii has a really funny face and I love it.
Yeah, it does. It's really funny. Not in a bad way. Not in a bad way.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
My Mii looks like he fits into a Nintendo game, so it doesn't feel like abstractly there. Like it fits. So I like that. I like my Mii character in there. It's funny because every time I watch like a replay and I see him give a death stare to somebody, I crack up. But then they also added a music player so you can listen to all of the music outside of playing the game. And that's the last edition, but the last wave of this DLC is coming on Thursday, November 9th.
It's finally over. I mean, I gotta say now, like, with this last DLC, I think it's safe to say Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has more content than any Mario Kart game ever.
Oh, it always did.
Yeah. Like now, very much so. And
Oh yeah, it's like four times the content, I think, of like any other Mario Kart game.
And I think I think there was like the big debate, like when this game launched on Switch, it's like, hey, I already have a Wii U, like, do you need it? Like, yeah, they added a couple extra things. It's like, no, now I say, like, yeah, you definitely need to ditch your Wii U copy and get a Switch copy and get all these tracks. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Like, there's no question about it now.
You get the tracks, you get the battle mode, and you get like the real battle mode, and you get the double item blocks.
Yes.
Which is like changes the way you play a lot too. So yeah, there's lots of cool stuff in there. And you also get like full in one of the DLC waves. I think it was the last one. It was either 5 or 4. They also made it so that you could select your items like point by point. Whereas before in Mario Kart 8, like for the Wii U version and for Deluxe before, it was basically just, you could say all mushrooms, all shells, or that was the limit to what you could do with item selection.
Right, yeah.
Where you have like complete control. So you can like make it all blue shells except for that 8 one where you get like 8 different abilities. And if you do that, whenever you get that 8 one, you'll get 8 blue shells. So nice. You can just wish for chaos, you know? You can just create utter chaos and mess around with those kind of settings, which is fun. That's what my friends and I used to do with Smash Brothers, like with Melee, when we would get together and play. We didn't do the whole Final Destination, you know, only certain characters, all straightforward, no items. We were never really into that. We would do that maybe like one match or something just to kind of do that. But we would do things like everybody played as Jigglypuff and nobody was doing anything except the sleep attack. The one that like sends your character flying.
Sleep attack.
And then we would play on, and this was like with Melee, and we would play on that one F-Zero track. And by having 4 Jigglypuffs all doing that smash on that F-Zero track, the game would like basically crash.
Oh, that's
like
amazing.
The frame rate would go down to like 2. And
you broke the game.
We would do that just to like fuck around. Like we would do that just to have fun with the game. Or we would turn items on but only Pokeballs. And then everybody would be picking the fastest characters they could find, like young Link and stuff, so that they could just catch the balls as quick as they could and just create chaos. And that was like the best part about Smash Brothers Melee when I played it with my friends. And they kind of added that element of chaos to Mario Kart 8 when they did that items update in either wave 4 or 5 by just letting you select the items, which in some ways is just an easy thing. It's like, you know, if you just sick of fucking blue shells or lightning bolts or squid ink, you know, and you just like, I'm so sick of that thing, you can just turn it off and not worry about it. But like I said before, the real crazy stuff starts when you do it so it's like only blue shells. And if you get the 8 item thing, you get 8 blue shells, you know, then it's like just chaos.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So, they've done a lot with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe on the Switch between the DLC and just other updates and stuff. So definitely the coolest. The one thing that I think Mario Kart 8 is missing that I really wish it had was the event mode from the DS Mario Kart game where it had boss fights and stuff.
That was cool.
Yeah, I really want them to bring that back. Like that's on my wish list for Mario Kart 9.
Yeah, hopefully they can bring that back in a future installment.
Yeah, I really want like that kind of like weird messed up stuff. And, you know, we have the Nintendo that's making games like Super Mario Brothers Wonder now, so they're kind of embracing chaos, I think. So I think that would be kind of cool for them to like just play around and do like weird fun stuff that is unexpected. But that's it for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Pass Wave 6 coming on November 9th. That's a Thursday. And that leaves only for our discussion full spoilers. This week on Full Spoilers, we are talking about Castlevania Nocturne, and this is the continuation of the Castlevania Netflix series, but this is with new characters, one returning character at the very end.
the very, yes.
I actually really liked how they did that, because he looks very different, too.
Yes,
so they really made it like, okay, he's growing, he's changed, you know? But what did you think of Castlevania Nocturne? You watched this before I did.
Yeah, I loved it. It's fantastic. They introduced Richter, and no, it's great.
But there's a lot of negativity about the season out there.
What is? I don't
There's
understand.
a lot of people.
Why?
We talked before the podcast. We were talking about the state of Disney and Marvel and stuff, and we talked about the whole issue of like, you know, the woke drama, the anti-woke crowd and stuff.
Yeah, those
that kind of went crazy with this series. I was seeing that all over the internet. I had watched like the first 3 episodes, had no problem with it, and then all of a sudden I'm online looking and just seeing people just spewing hate about Nocturne, just despising it.
Oh yeah. Those people are idiots. Like they're just mad that like black people happen to be in it, which is fucking stupid.
So knowing that kind of tainted my experience watching it, just because when you hear something's negative, you're like subconsciously looking for it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it kind of like hurt my enjoyment of it a little bit. I don't really think there is anything too egregious. There are a few things that are like, okay, that's a little woke. I could see if you're very anti-woke having an issue with this, but it really didn't bother me.
Well, I just want to say, like, they knocked it out of the park. Every character is great in this, really. The standouts for me were obviously, like, Ulrox. Ulrox is, like, a very cool vampire character with, like, very, you know, like, he's not a one-dimensional villain. Mm-hmm. He's got layers, like, he doesn't just believe in being evil.
Yeah. He actually, like, was, you know, there's a part where he was killed like an aristocrat or something. And the person was like, oh, you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to kill, like, the peasants or something. He's like, oh, I prefer my blood blue.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, voiced by Zahn McClaren, who was, in Westworld. The one episode of Westworld that followed a Native American robot for basically the entire episode. Yeah, that's Zahn McClaren. He's like he's a big Native American actor. He's in, like, tons of stuff. So there've been, like, in the last, like, 5 years, there were, like, 4 or 5 new shows that came out all about Native Americans, basically. Yeah. And he's in, like, 2 or 3 of them.
Yeah, and like, I think in the show, like, Ulrox is an Aztec, native who was turned into a vampire ages ago. It's really interesting because, like, he kills Richter's mother and sets Richter, you know, sets Richter on his path. He kills Richter's mother, and it's like, because, like, he explains the reason he did it is she killed the man he fell in love with, who he turned into a vampire.
Yeah.
And so
you didn't do it like out of, you know, wanting to be evil or, you know, and killing off the Belmonts or something or some gain for him. He did it because he was looking for revenge.
Yes.
Making him kind of a less extreme version of Dracula from the Castlevania series.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He has a role in the series where, like, he clearly, like, because, like, the big bad is Elizabeth Bathory, who's obviously based off of the real life Countess. Yeah,
she's voiced by Franca Potente, who is a German actress. She was in Run Lola Run, which is like a really famous indie film from Germany.
Yeah, Ursabet is, like, they're hailing her as, like, you know, like
the Vampire Messiah.
The Vampire Messiah, like she's a goddess, like she's above all of them. And it's very clear that Ulrox isn't down with that. He isn't down with Ursabet, you know, and so, like, he kind of hangs around, and, you know, like, he's kind of, like, just keeping his head down and fitting in and biding his time for, like, whatever plans he has, you know, but it's clear that he can't take her on himself, so he tries to assist Richter, you know, like, it's interesting.
Yeah, because Richter sees them and freaks the fuck out.
Yeah, oh yeah.
He's not really assisting Richter so much as he's assisting the knight who serves the abbot, who he's having kind of a relationship with in the series.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's having a relationship with this knight and the abbot. Like, but it's very clear, like, Ulrox opposes Ursabet.
Mm-hmm. But he's not putting all his cards on the table. He's just kind of like a wild card.
Yeah. Well, he can't do anything about her directly. And I mean, you see at the end, like, how powerful she actually is. And then, you know, like, it's interesting because Ulrox is actually, like, based on a character from Symphony of the Night. Like, Ulrox is a boss in that game. Mm-hmm. Complete with transformation. There's even, like, entire levels of Ulrox quarters, which suggests, like, he got his own quarters in Dracula's castle. Must be an important vampire. So he's from the games, obviously, like most of these characters are. Well, I would say specifically the characters that come from the games are Richter, Ulrox, Maria, Annette, and Alucard. Ursabet isn't from any of the games. neither is Terra or the Abbot, or Drolta or Mizrek. I think those are all original creations for the series, which is fine. You know, like, the TV series definitely needs to, like, expand the cast to be, be useful.
What about Emmanuel the Abbot?
Is
he original, or is he from the games?
No, he's original. I have a theory about him, that I think will play out in season 2.
He's one of 2 actors or major Game of Thrones actors that played characters in this.
Yeah, Richard Dormer.
Richard Dormer played Beric Dondarrion in Game of Thrones. The other one being Ian Glenn, who plays Juiced Belmont, is Jorah in Game of Thrones.
That's right, Juiced. Yeah, Juiced is from the games. Like, that was like one of the most hype reveals when they.
Yeah, it was definitely a cool character reveal.
Oh yeah, because Juiced is like the main character from Harmony of Dissonance on the Game Boy Advance. And in the lore, like, it was presupposed or rumored that he was, like, Richter's grandfather. And this series, they just outright make that canon, or canon to the series at least.
Grandfather of the year, too.
Yeah, grandfather of the year, yeah.
He's all, my grandson was orphaned after my daughter was married. I'm just gonna keep distant.
Yeah. I'm just gonna, like, never talk to him.
Until, like, he happens to stumble across me, and then I'll be like, I guess somebody let the cat out of the bag. And Richter's like, what?
Yeah. His introduction is cool, too. The way, like, those vampires attack the bar, and he just grabs Richter's whip and, like, goes to town.
Yeah, it was very cool. And then it also was an interesting way to bring up the idea of Richter regaining his powers by talking to somebody else who used both magic and a whip, you know?
Oh, yeah. And again, like, it's true to the games, because in the games, like, Juice, like, heavily uses magic as part of, like, his moveset.
But I didn't know the years for Castlevania. Like, I didn't know how many years were between it, and maybe they mentioned it at some point earlier, and I didn't know. But, like, when I first saw Juice, I was like, oh shit, is that Trevor?
No.
And then they said something about, like, oh, that was, like, 200 years, or something like that, and I was like, oh yeah.
Okay, Trevor's story takes place in the 1500s, and this is, like, the 1700s.
Yeah, so, I have no idea of the years in these games, or this series.
I mean, it gives a date for, like, this show, like...
Yeah, but I don't remember.
Yeah. Like,
I don't see the date they give for this one and go, but wait, the original Castlevania series took place in the... like, I don't remember that.
This is set during the French Revolution, or, like, the onset of the French Revolution.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the settings is a bit more modern and stuff, but I wasn't sure what it was for that. Do you think we're gonna get, after they finish Nocturne, because it's gonna have another season at least, do you think we're gonna get, like, one that's set in, like, modern Japan for, like, Aria of Sorrow?
If they do Aria of Sorrow, yeah, but that's not modern Japan, that's future Japan.
Is it future Japan? Okay.
Yeah, Aria of Sorrow actually takes place in the future.
Still the future? Because it's been a while since that game came out.
So, hold up, I'll pull up an exact date here. It takes place in 2035.
Alright, so the near future.
So it's the near future now, yeah.
So not quite, Cyberpunkovania.
Nope. But it's interesting, if you look at the canonical Castlevania timeline, Richter Belmont is like the last Belmont to appear until the Battle of 1999. Okay, yeah, it was Julius Belmont. Julius Belmont is like the last Belmont in the timeline. He's the one who finally defeated Dracula for good in 1999.
Until 2010.
Yeah, in 1999. Aria of Sorrow, like, the whole thing takes place, like, in, like, 2035, and that's, like, Soma, and the plot revolves around,
like, I guess, the reincarnation of Dracula or something? Or?
Yeah, Soma's supposed to be, like, the reincarnation of Dracula, and so, like, the rebirth of Dracula. But yeah, like, after the Belmonts disappear from the timeline for a while, and so you get stuff like, after Richter, like, you get, like, John Morris, and Quincy Morris, actually, who inherit the vampire killer whip. It's interesting, actually, because, like, John Morris is a son of Quincy. Quincy is actually from the novel Dracula. He killed Dracula in 1897 with Jonathan Harker.
Falling back on the Bram Stoker lore.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Bloodlines is when Konami tried to make the Dracula novel, like, canon to, like, the rest of the Castlevania lore.
So what else should we talk about with Castlevania? Like, I think we've kind of covered most of it. I think
I mean, the most hype badass moment was like the end when Ursabet Bathory, and actually I was wrong about Bathory. Ursabet Bathory or Elizabeth Bathory was like the main villain for Castlevania Bloodlines, but that game is set later than like the series, so it's kind of like she's kind of out of place. But I mean, it works. Who cares?
Elizabeth Bathory, the real historical figure, would fit more in this timeline, or closer to this timeline than the modern one.
Yeah, it's interesting. Another cool vampire shows up as Drolta, who's like Ursabet's like #1 lieutenant, and she's like one of like the main vampires until the end when she's unceremoniously killed off by Alucard showing up out of nowhere.
Yeah, saving the day.
That was like a really cool scene too, because he just kills her and then he introduces himself, and like all the other like vampires that were with her, like the entire army just like freaking scatters in fear at his presence.
Yeah, him naming himself.
Yes.
Alucard, again played by James Callis he played him in the original Castlevania series on Netflix. That's Gaius Baltar in Battlestar Galactica for all the geeks out there.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to season 2. Spoilers, nothing's resolved at the end of season 1. They attack Ursabet, but like she's untouchable. She has like some magic that makes it impossible for like anybody to like even like get a scratch on her.
The biggest change is that they lose Terra. Yeah,
they lose Terra. Like, yeah, she sacrifices her humanity to save Annette, or to save Maria, her daughter.
So season 2 will have Terra as a vampire.
And the abbot is Maria's father, who was working with Ursabet, and he was creating night creatures and messing with dark magic. And so my big theory is what like the main antagonist in Rondo of Blood and Symphony of the Night that this is obviously based off of is a character called Shaft, who is a dark priest whose goal is to resurrect Dracula because he worships Dracula.
Damn right.
Yeah, Shaft resurrects Dracula in Rondo of Blood, and, you have to defeat Shaft and defeat Dracula, and then in Symphony of the Night, it's revealed that Shaft survived Rondo of Blood and is mind-controlling Richter to do his bidding and help him revive Dracula.
Shaft is the black private dick that's a sex machine to all the chicks.
So he's not in this at all. So my theory is the abbot becomes Shaft. The abbot goes mad from losing his wife, from Terra being turned, and dives deeper into like the dark magic that he's already been dabbling with, that he's already been playing with. Dives deeper into that dark magic, and he comes out the other end as like Shaft, or the Shaft that we know from the games.
So what you're saying is we're getting, if he does end up becoming Shaft, then they're broadening his character, making it more in depth. They're making him into a complicated man, and no one understands him but his woman.
Yes, exactly. Sure.
Because I have to say, this cat Shaft is a bad mother. Shut your mouth.
But that's my big theory about that.
That makes sense. I don't know enough about Castlevania lore to dispute that or support it in any way. So, but that makes sense. That would be interesting. He's still around. He's still with the villains, but he looks a little shook.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Do you think we've seen the last of Juice? That he was just like a cameo, kind of?
I don't know. It's hard to say. Maybe, maybe not. We could see him come back in the second season.
Yeah.
I also want to know, what summoned Alucard there,
He said, I hope I'm not too late, so.
Yeah, don't be about too late. It's like, Alucard, where are you? How are you getting this information?
Ready for my theory based on absolutely no knowledge of any lore?
Yeah, go ahead.
Olrox contacted him.
I think that might be it.
Because Olrox is a wild card. So you have to play that up, and they won't, if that is the case, it's the kind of thing they won't reveal until a ways in. Because Richter won't be ready to accept it.
I like the line at the end. Richter, upon seeing Alucard, Richter, slaves, he thought Alucard was just a myth. I mean, it's because Richter, knows the stories of, Dracula and stuff, from his mother.
He heard him at his mom's feet, yeah.
Yeah, but it's interesting that he just assumed the Alucard story was, just make-believe or just a story that he was told and not that Alucard was, a real person.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I guess that's about all I have to say about that.
Well, that was Castlevania Nocturne. So next week, join us as we discuss Gen V, which is the spin-off series to The Boys. It's Soups in College. And, yeah, it's been interesting so far. So we'll be talking about that next week after the finale airs. So look forward to that. Thank you, everybody, for listening. You can reach me on Twitter. I'm at Tyson Gifford. You can reach Will. He is at Voxel Hero. You can check out our website, thetotalscreen.com. If you go to our website and open up a container story for any of our podcast episodes, scroll down to that last paragraph and you're going to find all of our relevant social links, our RSS feed, everything there that you need to listen to this podcast, to subscribe to this podcast, anything of that sort. You can subscribe to this podcast through any podcast client of choice like Apple Podcasts or Pocket Casts, and the entire backlog of this podcast and more is available on our official YouTube channel, so check that out as well. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you for listening to the OnScreen podcast, the official podcast of The Total Screen. Visit our website at thetotalscreen.com. This podcast can be found on any major podcast client, including Pocket Cast and Apple Podcast. The entire backlog of this podcast and other content can be found on our YouTube channel.